Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John Hoey. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is our, what is this, our Thursday show? It's something else about today. Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's the first day of Star Wars Celebration. So welcome to Celebration, everybody. We are here. We're joined by a very special guest who has something to do with Star Wars Celebration, and we'll get to him in just a moment. So first, let's bring in the crew. As always, James Bainey, Lacey Gillerin. Guys, how are you? Happy Star Wars Celebration first day. Are you excited? What's going on?
It's Thursday morning, and I don't know why I'm home right now.
We got a quick flight to Chicago.
We're teleporting.
Yeah. Once this is done, I'm getting in my car and I'm driving to Celebration.
We hope your car is fixed by then.
Yeah.
Lacey, what's up?
Nothing. Pumped to be at Celebration. Teleporting there right after this conversation.
Yes. Yeah. I love how we're trying to act like we're there, but whatever.
This is going to be a fun show, regardless of where we are currently.
Yeah, we're a little off-brand tonight, how we usually are, but the reason is because we have a special guest, and you may have heard him literally at Star Wars Celebration in years past and other conventions and events. So I'd like to welcome in the official DJ of Star Wars Celebration, DJ Elliot Hansen. How you doing, Elliot?
What's happening? How y'all doing?
Good.
Elliot.
Hey, first time I heard that today.
Oh my god, you must hear that way too much, I'm guessing.
Yes. That one. That along with "Where's My Dragon," which Elliot is actually the name of the dragon. So whatever.
All right, so I guess what we want to do here is just spend some time, being that it is technically when this airs the first day of Star Wars Celebration, to kick things off by talking about your experiences years past, what you expect this year to be in terms of being different, in terms of the atmosphere and general vibe, all sorts of things. So I don't even know where to start. I guess I'll start just by asking you, how'd you get involved with Disney / Lucasfilm in the role that you're in now, or where did it begin, and how did it evolve into where you are now?
So it started, I came to Disney in 1997 as part of the Walt Disney World College program. And when I got there, I kind of found my people. So I stayed and I worked at Disney, and I learned, how to be a DJ from another DJ. And I was just a DJ at Walt Disney World. And I met a guy, Mark Renfro, who had produced the last couple celebrations, and he reached out to me and said, hey, for Celebration 5 is coming to Orlando, and we want to try something different. We want to have a DJ play music before the panel starts. Would you be interested in doing that? And I said, absolutely. He called me in for a meeting, and I walked into his office and met this very tall black man named Mark Daniel, and we met each other for the first time, and Celebration 5 was the start of it. So we did 5, and then right after that, they went back to Orlando. We did Celebration 6. And then shortly after that, that was when, the madness began, because, they went to Germany next. And that's how we met Mary Franklin. And she said, we'd love to bring you over to Germany. And we've been doing every celebration since then. So, yeah. Wow. Did it for free for many, many years.
DJ Lobot.
Lobot was a different story. That was Celebration 5. Tony Giordano, who is one of the show writers at Walt Disney World, he was a friend of mine, and he walked up to me and said, you should shave your head and we'll make you DJ Lobot. And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then by the next celebration, I had shaved my head, and I got a phone call that they wanted me to come in for a fitting at costuming at Disney, and I had no idea what it was for. I walked in, Tony was there, and he goes, this was the year that Disney did all the limited time magic events, and they were going to do a limited time magic event on May the 4th. And he said, hey, I've got a surprise for you. You shaved your head. And they busted out the screen used Lobot visor.
Wow.
And they put it on my head, and it didn't fit because I have a different size head, but they molded my head and made one for me, and the totally accurate costume. It was pretty darn crazy. So
were they actual active headphones?
No, so it's just a hollow piece of foam, and then I would have in-ear monitors in my ear, so I could actually hear what was going on. But yeah, cool. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I did Lobot a couple years, and then Disney bought Lucasfilm, and they decided that they weren't going to do any of those crazy character mashups because of their multi-billion-dollar purchase and they decided they didn't want Star Wars to be funny anymore, so they just wanted to take everything really, really serious. So they said, I think the story was Kathleen Kennedy's like, yeah, we're not going to do DJ Lobot. Just get the guy that we used for Star Wars Celebration, DJ Elliot. And they were like, well, that's him. He's just in costume. And she's like, oh, just tell him to wear his normal clothes then. So that was one of my favorite stories.
It's funny you say that, though, because when I was doing it in 2015, it was so weird because it was Disney had just purchased Lucasfilm. And just like Elliot said, like, it was that transitional period that the next year we did it, 2016, you couldn't do any depictions of characters. Like I was walking around with my Akbar being like, it's a line, it's a panel. And like, I was told like, you can't do that anymore.
That sounds familiar.
You can't speak on behalf of Akbar. I was like, what? So Elliot couldn't do Lobot, which was like one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Ella, do you think Kathleen Kennedy said that because she thought that you were forced to be Lobot, or do you think she was just being Star Wars police?
No, I think Disney really took it seriously. Like you don't see Cinderella and Ariel and Pocahontas dancing to single ladies. So I think they just, here's
like
their
Vader dancing.
Yeah, here's their major investment, and we're going to take it serious because it deserves to be taken serious. So I had no problem with it. It was always weird being Lobot because I couldn't really see that well because I had contact lenses with an old prescription in them, and I couldn't hear anything. I had that thing taped to my head, and in order to keep, because it's Florida and humid, I would have to like cover my head in deodorant to keep it from sweating. Yeah, it was pretty rough, but it was nice to be able to be myself because that helped me build my brand too. So
that's true. Yeah. Okay, you're not always going to be DJing as Lobot just at Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I got married and started gaining some weight, and costume didn't fit kind of the way it used to. So
dude, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. Except the costume part, the weight part. I know what you're talking about.
Yep. Just you get comfortable and happy, and yeah, man.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. 100% accurate. So just so I get this correct, you recently did C2E2 as well at McCormick. Is that right?
Correct. Yes, we were there just a week ago. Yeah.
So is it going to be a similar setup? Do you get a vibe of what we're getting into here at McCormick compared to celebrations past for fans who want to know, when they try to visualize the situation?
It's going to look very similar to C2E2. The only difference, of course, is that the celebration stage is at the Wintrust Arena, and we got a chance to walk through there, and it's really, really impressive. It's going to look very similar to what we saw in Anaheim. So that'll be nice. So we'll be able to get a couple 6,000-7,000 people in there, which should be a lot of people. I don't think people realize that. I don't think they didn't. There's no way they sold like 70,000 tickets per day because the capacity of the venue, even C2E2, like a busy day is 30,000 people. So I think everybody's just overestimating what they're going to see. So, obviously they don't release actual numbers for security reasons, but I think it's going to be probably half the size of what we saw in Orlando would be my guess.
Wow. Okay. Do you think that's deliberate because of traffic, or do you think they just aren't able to sell as many tickets because of less interest? What's your vibe on that?
It's just building capacity. Like you can only put so many people in a building, and that's a problem that they're always going to run into at all of these conventions is, even New York Comic-Con, you can't, New York Comic-Con and San Diego Comic-Con can't actually say how many people are coming to their event because they're breaking fire code. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah. It's like a sardine can at New York Comic-Con. I was there on the Saturday, and compared to the Thursday, it's like a different animal.
Yeah.
But I guess if they're projecting like, all right, we're planning celebration for this year, they must know that McCormick can only hold a certain amount of people. So they knew going in, we can only sell this many tickets. So they must have projected that. It must not have been like, oh, wait, we can only sell, you know what I mean?
But I think that's why tickets sold out as quickly as they did, because it was half of what they sold for Orlando. I mean, up until Orlando, the doors opening, they still had tickets available, So
yeah, and they might not have been aiming to. I know they're always making to make money, but maybe it was more about visual appearance. Like, let's do a smaller club and sell the thing out, as opposed to like get as many people as we can and make as much money as we can. You know, it's all about like rebuilding the like Star Wars fans are crazy. They still love it. They sold out, you know?
I do think the craziness is there, guys. But another thing to note, John, I believe this celebration is in West Building, whereas C2E2 is in South. Right, Elliot?
I don't know. I didn't pay enough attention. I'm at McCormick. That's all I know.
Yeah, so there's multiple McCormick buildings. There's East, West, South.
No, I'm at Wintrust. I'm at Wintrust.
Yeah, so East is where they shot Batman, Dark Knight movie parts or whatever, Batman. And then South is where they do C2E2, and we're in West, which is they've also had a book con there previously. Hey,
let's just walk downstairs and check it out right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's go take a look right now. Come on.
Just.
Oh, James is rowing there. He's rowing there as we speak. Yeah. Our audio audience is like, what is going on?
What are they doing? Happening? They all just left.
So this, I guess I wanted to ask you. I know there's probably going to be surprises this year, but from your chair and your experience, what is the biggest surprise that you can ever recall experiencing from something that you may not have been, obviously know ahead of time in your years past at celebrations?
You better say what I think you're going to say.
So I did not know that John Williams was going to be there. What we did know is prior to Celebration, friends of mine that are part of the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra had just done a Star Wars night. And so they reached out to me and said, hey, can you put us in contact with the people at Celebration? Because we would love to come and perform. So all I knew was that there was going to be an orchestra there and it was going to be awesome and people were going to lose their mind. And so I walked to the back of the room so I could watch everybody when they did the orchestra reveal. And it wasn't until he turned around that I even knew that he was there. But the worst part about all of it is the fact that my wife knew because she was the stage manager in the room and she didn't tell me.
She knows everything. Lindsay knows everything.
Like 3 people knew he was going to be there and that was it. Like even the orchestra didn't know until that day. So that was a really, really cool surprise. So
she knew about Josh Gad too.
Yeah, well, that was another one where we were like, hey, we should, we have some friends here in Florida that were friends with him, and we made a joke, like, how great would it be at the end of the panel if, like, Kathleen said, okay, cool, we have time for one question, and then the camera panned to Josh Gad standing up going, yeah, I have a question for Daisy, and then that ended up into turning into him just doing the entire interview, so it'll be really interesting to see, too, because I know they have, like, a surprise... I would assume they have a surprise person to do the episode 9 panel, but I have no clue who that is at this point.
We'll see it's tomorrow.
Funny. We didn't get any lead up like they did with the Daisy Ridley stuff before. We haven't gotten anything to this point that was...
Oh, you mean like her videos with Josh Gad?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we were getting a lot of like, hey, what happens in The Last Jedi? Blah, blah, blah. Or not
when
Last
they were
Jedi,
filming Murder on the Orient Express, he was bothering her in the thing.
Yeah, and it was all kind of good because it led up to that.
So Elliot, your wife probably saw the trailer for episode 9. She probably just isn't telling you that she saw it. That's all.
Well, I mean, it hasn't happened yet. So
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, I'm making the joke that she won't tell you.
I mean, I know during tech checks that they will probably obviously test the trailer, but usually they kick everybody out of the room for that sort of stuff. So I just remember that the audio was so loud in Anaheim that when they played the trailer the first time, the subwoofers actually shook the projectors out of focus. So when it played the second time, the trailer was out of focus, but it was because they had cranked it so loud. So they had to go in between the show before the next show. They had to go and refocus the projectors. So
wow.
Now does J.J. Abrams sit in on those and say like, I don't like how that's presented? Is he in control of that at all?
No. There's a whole team from Disney that their job is putting on events and being in the room for that stuff. So
okay,
there's a whole and ironically, Esty has a background in projection, so I'm sure he has a little bit to do with that as well. So You know,
Esty is the head of events for Lucasfilm, guys.
Yeah.
For people listening that don't know who that is. It's okay.
Yeah.
Just
So,
outing,
like, isn't that a website where you buy knickknacks?
Like me.
outing all these people that we know.
Yeah.
He's
The
really
name drops.
awesome. If you say hi to him, I'm sure he'll say hi back. He
Oh,
was
he's a
actually
good
in a
dude.
really funny video from 2017 when George Lucas was walking around a curtain, like behind a curtain, and these fans stuck their heads in or like tried to kind of swarm George Lucas. And there's Esty with his backpack on, like, because he just didn't. He's like looking at his phone, like, I got to get out of here. It was
Wrong
actually
place,
pretty
wrong
funny.
time.
I love Esty. Esty.
Elliot, how about craziest moment you've ever experienced at a celebration?
I have a couple that the very first fan party that we did. I had it was really weird because it kind of felt like a middle school dance, like all the boys standing against one wall and all the girls standing on the other wall. And at one point, I stopped the music and I said, "Hey, look! Like, we were all nerds in high school. We all got picked on, and it's the same thing that I've been saying for all these celebrations. And what makes Celebration great is everyone that's there loves Star Wars just a little bit more than the average person, because they've spent all this money and all this time to come to this place and be together. So I'm really, really hoping that we can get back to just fans having a good time together instead of everybody being all angry and upset. So we gave everybody permission to dance, and it was just a killer party. And at the end of the night, this girl gave me this napkin, and on the napkin was written, "I don't know if you really were a nerd or not in high school, but tonight you made us all feel really special." And I have that framed on my wall.
That is awesome.
It was a really, really great moment. My favorite part about Celebration is just the people that I've met. I mean, I've gotten close with, Lacey through the years, and I mean, I've got, basically family that I've made because of Celebration. I mean, Mark Daniels, like my other half when it comes to Star Wars stuff. We're about to do all the Star Wars marathons here this weekend, and I'm going to spend the next 3 days with him and then come to Celebration and spend 5 days with him. So
just so you know, Elliot owns a DeLorean. He actually got in the DeLorean to go back to do those races, and then he's going to come back to do Celebration. So just so everyone knows. And I'm not lying. He does have a DeLorean. I've been in it.
You really have a DeLorean?
I do. I have a really sick hobby where I make movie cars. So I've got 4.
Wait a minute. Are you serious?
Yes, he has a DeLorean.
I've got 4 movie cars. Yeah.
Do you have? All right. What do you?
These are going to be at Celebration?
Yeah. What movie cars do you have?
The first one I built was a Back to the Future DeLorean. That's what started the hobby. Then I built a
It has a light show, guys. It plays a full light show with sounds and everything.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
John just looked at the camera.
Then I built I built a Jurassic Park Jeep for my wife because she wanted to learn how to drive standard.
Yes.
And it didn't work. So then I built a Pizza Planet truck because they were doing a bunch of Toy Story stuff here
Toy Story,
at
yeah.
Disney. And then I just built a Jurassic Park Ford Explorer. So
the original from 93?
With the glass dome.
Yep, with the glass dome. And
Oh, man. That's so cool,
it
man.
plays a whole show where like the dinosaur walks up, and yeah, I'm a nerd.
So what's next? Like a Batmobile, Herbie the Love Bug? maybe?
I'm done with movie cars. That was
okay.
my wife has taken away my credit card and said no more. So. When I did my taxes and listed all the vehicles, it's like, you own a fleet, and I was like, hey honey, I have a fleet of cars. She's like, not anymore, you don't.
Gone.
Gosh.
You can keep the Huey Lewis tapes. That's it.
I think the only car she would let me do would be an Ecto, but it's just super hard to find that car.
That would be sick. That's like an old ambulance, right?
Yeah. Miller Meteor ambulance hearse. They made about 800 of them back in the late 50s, early 60s. So they're just a super rare car to find. So, and if you're not going to do it, and I'm one, if you're not going to do it right, what's the point in doing it at all? So.
You'd have to get that siren for sure. I don't even know where to go from here. Other than
I've never seen John so flustered with a guest before. He's so excited right now.
I love movie cars. Like, so when you said that, I was thinking about that that Walmart commercial that just came out.
I have a bunch of friends' cars in that commercial.
Oh my god, I love that commercial. Like,
James
I love
will
movie
like
cars.
this.
I really
James, he has a Tesla that drives itself.
Ooh.
It's called Thanos. We're now a car
awesome.
podcast, if anybody was
Yes.
do. Yeah, I think we're transitioning to a car podcast for sure.
Oh, jeez.
Movie car podcast. So expectations going into this celebration, I know you can't reveal anything that you may know. I'm not talking about that, but what do you think will set this celebration apart from past celebrations? What will make this one unique in your expectation?
I think all the episode 9 stuff is going to be what pretty much everybody walks away with. It's also the first celebration without Mary Franklin, so it's going to be really interesting to see how that changes things, either good or bad. It's a very interesting time to be a Star Wars fan right now. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what the vibe is like, and if everybody's there to have a good time and be friendly, or I don't know. I'm just interested to see how things are going to go. I'm also excited because one of the other things that we're doing. So on tonight, Thursday night, all of the clubs got together and they're doing just one party instead of doing 6 or 7 different ones. So we're actually we've got Wesley and the Crushers is playing with us. We've got Blues Harvest with special appearances by Darth Elvis and Vanessa Marshall and a guy dancing as a porg. Let's see what else we got. And David Collins is going to play. So it's going to be really cool. So we took a lot of the pieces from Celebration London when we did the hashtag Cantina event over at the O2, and a bunch of those bands agreed to come over and perform for charity so that we can raise some money for the organizations that the 501st support. So just excited to see that, because I think the fan groups, it's going to be interesting to see how Disney handles the fan groups, because I know that the 501st aren't necessarily doing as many events as they used to do because Disney's using their own internal character departments to do those now.
Do you think that causes any of the rift there between fans? Do you think Disney's way of like saying this is our brand and we're protecting our brand has turned off fans, even like diehards like 501st?
I mean, I don't know. I just, of all the companies to protect an IP, Disney is great at doing that. So, I mean, yeah, you're not, you're going to see good stuff. They're not going to let anything come out of there half-assed. So,
and not only that, nowadays with the amount of people that do stupid stuff, like all they need is someone to claim that they're doing something on behalf of Disney, and it's just, it could go terribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
That makes sense. You bring up, that's twice now you brought up you're curious about how fans are going to be. Is this just straight up post The Last Jedi, that type of feeling for you?
No, just Celebration really kind of changed for me as an experience in Anaheim. Prior to that, it had really just felt like it was a convention that we always really, really looked forward to, because it was like our family and friends are going to come hang out with us and we're going to have a great time. And Anaheim was the first time ever that like Mark, Daniel, and I both got like negative reactions where like people made fun of us. And I was like, look, man, like I'm just here to make sure that you guys are having a good time. I know you're not here to see me. Like we're the show before the show. We're just helping you kill time so you're not staring at your phone. But yeah, like, that was the first time I got tweeted at. Somebody called me DJ Nerdy White Boy, and I was like, you're at a Star Wars trailer premiere. Like, what did you expect? Like,
not to mention that Elliot and Mark are like the nicest people. Like on my top 10, top 20 list, they're up there. So for people to make fun of these guys, it's outrageous to me, because first of all, you don't know them. Second of all, they're up there to make you have a good time. Why are you going to mock the person that's trying to make you happy?
What's lamer than a nerd bully? Like, what is that?
I have always said there is no what was it? There's no angrier person than a nerd with the internet connection.
It's true.
Like, it's so ironic, these people, like, because I got picked on all through high school. And I'm sure a lot of those people did too. And I'm like, why are you turning into that bully? Why are you turning into the person that tormented you? Like, you're supposed to be better than that.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to see the quote unquote nerd rage online, because I'm like, bro, like you're You're becoming Darth Vader. You're becoming what you hate. Like, don't let the hate consume you. Let's all just get together and have a good time. You know,
that's a good metaphor for it, for sure.
Would you say this is kind of like what you're comparing to is like Celebration pre-Disney was sort of like going to your favorite band's concerts, and then all of a sudden now they're bigger, they blew up. And you go to the show and you're like, I don't feel as connected to them anymore. It's like, it's good. I'm glad they're successful, but like there's something different about the vibe. There's like different people here that I don't think care about the band like I care about the band. Kind of thing.
That's actually a really great way to look at it. Because I mean, there was a point where like Celebration 6, like they weren't gonna make Star Wars anymore. It was done. Mm-hmm. So we were just celebrating, like we were super excited about Star Wars detours. Like that was going to be everyone was like, oh, so stoked for this cartoon that like, and then we went to, God. And then we went to,
that was the original episode 9 that everybody was excited about.
And then
happened.
And then we went to Germany and it was all of a sudden, Disney's gonna ruin Star Wars because that whole news had just come out. And then what was super great about Germany was that's where Kathleen met all these droid builders and prop builders, which is who she hired to build these sets and operate these droids for these movies. So that was super cool because who better to build fan stuff than fans, you know? And then we came to Anaheim and it was the Disney, like it was corporate. It was, you know, here's the Disney corporate team putting out the trailer. And I mean, the production value went up like for certain.
Elliot, at that Force Awakens panel, what did you say to Daisy and John backstage?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything to them, but I heard Mark Hamill talk to both of them. And he said, you guys need to go to the mall. You need to go to the movies. You need to go out and do stuff. Because as soon as this movie comes out, you're not going to be able to go anywhere.
They walked around that weekend and like that day in masks. And I was backstage behind the store taking a break. Because when you take breaks, you just hide.
Yeah.
So I'm on my phone behind the store just kind of tweeting and hiding. And these two people come in here in masks. I literally turned to them and said, excuse me, you can't be back here. And they take their masks off and it's Daisy and John. And I was like, okay, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. See you later.
You never told us that story. Are you saving that nugget for today?
Yeah.
Oh, for celebration.
What else you got?
Oh, she was the monster backstage. She would, anybody who wasn't supposed to be where they were not supposed to be, the wrath would come out. She'd turn
My mom
red
voice came out. I mom voiced Daisy Ridley. I did the, excuse me, you can't be back here.
As nice of a lady as Lacey is, I 100% believe you.
Yeah, 100%.
Some of our listeners are like, and I remember just seeing, because at first I saw them in masks and they were with people that weren't in masks. And then they took their masks off and I was just like, never mind, you're good. I'm going to go. And I just like walked out a curtain. I don't even know where it went. I was like,
did you get overcome with like adrenaline and like flush? Like, were you like, oh my God, who did I just say that to? Or was it just like, oops?
Not really, because they weren't big celebrities yet. Yeah. Like the movie hadn't come out yet. They were this was their first experience. They had actually changed out of their clothes. They were in street clothes.
Yeah.
And
but if it was Adam Driver, then
first of all, he hasn't gone to a celebration.
Yeah, he hasn't done one yet.
I just meant if.
But yeah, Daisy and John, first of all, they looked obviously younger than they do now. They didn't have their like fancy clothes on. They were just in street clothes. So they looked like a bunch of like two teens running around in masks. And I was like, get out of here, kids.
And they tell stories about you now. They're like,
remember
woman,
that girl?
Yeah. If she only knew. That's cool.
Yeah. All right, I got a question for you, Elliot.
Okay.
All right.
I have an answer. Maybe.
This is not only my first celebration. This is my first convention of any sort.
Oh my goodness.
So here's the thing is I know I'm not the only one. There are tons of people that are listening to this podcast right now that are getting excited because it's Thursday. There's no crazy stuff going on. They're going to head over there a little bit later. So they're listening to this episode now and they're thinking, what do I need to grab before I go in? Like, do I need to make a Walgreens stop, or what's the lowdown on like something you wouldn't think about?
Phone charger, like that would be the number one thing, like a little battery backup, because you're going to be fighting for Wi-Fi with everybody else that's there, and that's just going to cause your battery to die. And nowadays your phone isn't just your phone; it's your camera and your video camera and your you're going to check the app, you're going to figure out where you're going. Like, everything works off your phone, so definitely like a battery backup. And then I just like get people's phone numbers, meet people, like make friends. Like, that's the best thing about this. Like, again, for real, like all of these people are when we're not crazy, but we're just as Mark Hamill calls it, the ultimate passionate fan, the UPFs. It'd be like,
yeah, no, it's this.
Yeah.
So they're doing.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, stop!" That's his big one. Yeah.
So for our audio people, Elliot's signing the ways to tell people that he loves you.
No, that's what Mark Hamill does.
That's what Mark Hamill does. He walks out on stage and goes,
Who, me?
Oh my God!
Oh, he does the hand wave.
Yeah. Stop. Yeah. That thing.
I mean,
it's great.
For a guy whose last name is Hamill, he is legit
ham.
one of the biggest hams like that you could see on a TV show all the time.
He's great, man. It's been really cool to like get to know these people and spend time with them backstage. It really, getting to watch Carrie backstage. She'd have her Diet Coke, and Gary would be there with her, and she'd be super duper nervous, and we'd be like, "You're gonna get out there and you're gonna be fine." And as soon as she walked out there, she'd be great.
She makes out fans. It would be awesome.
I know. Watching Ben Mendelsohn watch the Rogue One trailer for the very first time, and him seeing like him turn and the cape behind him flow, and he went like this. He got super excited, and then at the end of it, he just looked around and was stoked, and we were like, "Man, you're in Star Wars," and he was like, "I'm in effing Star Wars," and just super pumped up. And watch.
Dude, he's doing so well too.
Yeah,
like, he's got Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg directed
Captain
movie.
America,
he just did Captain Marvel, which is
man.
like Marvel's on top of the world right now. I mean, it's just he's killing it.
He's a great actor for sure.
Watching Gwendolyn Christie like totally geek out, when she hosted the Rogue One panel, just how super fantastic she was backstage too. Like, we've just really had the opportunity to work with some really, really great people, and I really love working with Warwick Davis, so we get to spend some time working with him again on the main stage, and we've come up with some really fun stuff that we're going to be doing. So
nice.
We will be spending time on Wednesday and Thursday filming stuff that you guys will get to see in the rooms on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So
Nice.
It's gonna be really cool. So.
Something about Warwick, I don't know if it's just a connectivity to every trilogy or what, but like when I would watch him on stage hosting the panels in Orlando, whatever, there's just I don't want to say nostalgic, but there's such a joy and a warmth to watching him, and it's genuine. It feels really genuine, and I love him hosting panels. I hope he hosts for years. I just love seeing him do that stuff.
Oh, he's fantastic to work with, because he always wants to be the butt of the joke. Like he really wants to bring out the best of the other. I really enjoyed watching him and Carrie Fisher, because as you're watching them, you're like, she used to like carry him around the set like he was her child.
Oh,
and
right.
Here they are having a conversation as adults, and I just remember talking to him backstage, like, how weird is that? Like, they recreated the Wicket scene behind the couch.
Yeah, her
like,
dog went nuts.
Oh, that's the great thing about the team that produces the main stage events at Celebration. It's not like a San Diego Comic-Con where you walk in and it's a table and there's little placards with everybody's name and it's just Q&A. Like, they really produce these shows and try to make it feel like a talk show. And the quality of the production is always really great. So I'm glad that we get to be a part of it. And
It is a TV show because it's, broadcast live and all that other stuff. And there's so many people that are watching that as if it's the newest episode of a show or the new movie was just released or something. They're watching it. And it's very entertaining from the outside as well.
Elliot, John is a huge Han Solo fan.
All right.
Do you have any fun moments to share about Harrison Ford?
My wife met him backstage. The only Harrison Ford story I know was from there's a place here in Florida called Fantasy of Flight, and it's one of the world's largest collections of private aircraft. He owns the Ford Trimotor from Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, I think, is the Ford Trimotor, and then a B-17 bomber and all that stuff. So the guy that owns the place, his name is Kermit.
What?
His name is Kermit, and he's a super famous dude when it comes to airplanes. And he was having a party, and Harrison Ford was there, and he came over to say hi to Harrison Ford, and Harrison was like, he introduced was it Callista? Yeah, Callista. He's like, this is Callista, and Kermit was like, oh, hi, what do you do? And she's like, I'm an actress. He's like, oh, I hope that works out for you, because he had no clue who she was.
Elliot, I forget. I think it was probably Lindsay that told me the story about Harrison backstage when the Carrie tribute played. Was that?
Yeah, it
Lindsay?
might have been her. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, she had mentioned that when the whole tribute played, him and Mark were standing next to each other backstage, and they basically were like comforting each other, and they had like tears in their eyes. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
The only thing that I remember is that even the celebrities didn't realize it was John Williams, and they went to walk away, and then somebody was like, that's John Williams, and they all like came running out from behind the curtain. And everybody, like, they stood right in front of these people in the front row of the theater that didn't realize it was Mark and Harrison and everybody else that was there for the panel, and they're all just standing there watching John Williams conduct those pieces of music. So it was really cool to watch everybody geek out about that.
Yeah.
How many people know that John Williams is there? Who's responsible? Like was it on one hand you can count the people that knew that then?
They said
you didn't know. I mean,
no, they said 3 people knew. So 3 people knew he was going to be there. So
that's so cool.
That's incredible.
I love surprises.
That's so small of numbers. One of those 3 could be John Williams.
Yeah, I know, right? John Williams, his son, and then his other son.
He didn't even know he was going to be there till the curtain raised.
Exactly.
He didn't know he was there.
No, my favorite moment from him was watching him conduct the audience, because everybody like freaked out and was loud and cheering loud, and he just went like that, and everybody sat down, and it was so quiet in there you could hear the fans and the projectors. It was just It was crazy. That was a really cool moment.
I want to ask you, so have you had any one-on-one interactions with Carrie Fisher at all, or anything like that?
Yeah, I've talked to her backstage a bunch of times. I watched her, call Mark Daniel a tall drink of water, and she messed with me. We were doing Q&A at one of the celebrations, and James Arnold Taylor was the host, and we were taking questions from the audience, and she had just said something really horrible about menstruation or something like that, and then they said, all right, well, we're gonna go to Elliot for a question, and I was like, well, hi Carrie, I'm up here with Steve is 5, and she was like, oh, Elliot. So Steve, menstruation is like a train, and it hits the stage, and she tried to. It was really funny.
My favorite is when she'd go too crazy, and then they'd be like, well, that's it. Time to go.
No, the one that I remember it was Celebration 5, and it was my first time watching her. And if you remember Celebration 5, she did the panel with George and Mark and her, and something happened, like her mom got sick, so she had to go home early, so she canceled her panel. And so backstage, the production team scrambled, and they're like, well, what we'll do is we'll replay the Jon Stewart, George Lucas interview, which what nobody knows is they didn't record it. So they had to like redo the show live, to the point that like they still had to call the camera cues, because they didn't just record, the show. So Jay Lagaya was all frustrated. He's like, oh, I can't believe that, she's going to ditch out on this interview. And I turned to him and I said, look, when you get her out there, just keep asking her questions. She likes to talk. She's very personable. And I bet you can keep her out there for at least 20, 25 minutes. And he's like, that's a great idea. And so he got her out there. He kept her out there for 35 minutes. Wow. And she was originally supposed to talk for an hour. So like he did more than half, and he just walked backstage and was like, brother, that was some great advice. And I was like, good job, man. So
she seemed to always seem like intimidating to talk to, not because of her personality, but because she's so damn smart. And everyone always said that about her. So to me, I'd be intimidated to talk to her on an intellectual level anyway.
No, Mark Hamill pulled Mark Daniel and I aside one time and was like, wow, I really love what you guys do. Like, I understand how hard that is, and keep doing what you're doing. And Mark and I were just like, what is going on with us? And then the first time I met George Lucas, I ran off stage and ran into him. So I got a whole face full of beard. It was
face full of beard.
It's pretty gross.
How did the beard feel?
It did not smell bad. So he smelled good. So
that's good. That's good. Did he transfer any of his imagination to you through the beard?
No, the beard felt very wealthy. Is what it did.
Well-groomed beard. I don't even know what else to ask you. These stories are incredible. So anything you think of, just keep firing them off.
I have one.
There we go. Okay.
See, I'm asking questions based on things that I already know. Anyway,
that's good.
Elliot, didn't you witness a really fun moment after the TFA trailer played?
Oh, so during the Force Awakens trailer, I actually stood behind J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy while they watched the trailer. So that was kind of cool. And then...
for the first time.
Yeah. So
no, I'm just kidding. So
then they walked down the stairs, and Bob Iger was there, and he shook Kathleen's hand and JJ's hand and said, hey, good job, guys. So that was kind of a cool little moment.
Whoa.
So... yeah, it's just
just so weird.
The people rolling
people,
around,
right?
the people rolling around backstage is just. And then for Orlando, we were doing all the the tech checks in the morning, and there's this dude walking around my DJ equipment, like really looking at it. And so I just walked over and was like, hey, man, what's happening? And he's like, oh, I've seen you. You do a really great job. I DJ too. And I was like, you want to come up and take a look at the equipment? Because I have a custom board that is the Death Star trench printed on the top of the mixer.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he checked that out, and then he saw my laptop stand and was like, oh, I really like that stand. Where'd you get it? And I gave him the place on Amazon, and we talked for a little while, and he's like, cool, I'm going to go sit down, but it was great talking to you, and I look forward to hearing you play. And I said, hey, cool, no problem. And so I stayed up there for a minute, and then Kathleen walked over, and she goes, is my husband bothering you?
Oh, no way.
So Frank Marshall is trying to steal my DJ job. So,
So by the way, for our listeners, he's the guy that was seen in all those photos at the EP9 rap party who was DJing the party is Frank Marshall.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So Frank Marshall
he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he's a producer of Jurassic Park and and all that. So did you get him to sign your Jurassic Park Explorer or anything like that? Or?
No. So it's really weird because one of the questions I get a lot is like, do you get pictures backstage? Do you ask for autographs? Do you do any of that stuff? And I don't. I'm not a huge fan of the selfie or the autograph, because in that moment when we're backstage, I'm just one of them. And the minute that you take that photo or you take that selfie, now you're a fan. And until that moment, we're all working hard to put on the best show that we can for the audience. So, and
that's great.
Plus, it's Disney company policy that's been drilled into my head from, when I took traditions back in 1997. And it's not worth it.
Yeah. Unless they have like an old animatronic full-size T-Rex still laying around in a lot somewhere that you can get. But
do you guys want to hear something crazy? That's almost completely unrelated. On Warped Tour, they would sell tickets to the place where the bands are, where all the buses are.
Huh. To meet,
that's weird.
Like, just to make extra money, and then they would be like, yeah, it's a great way for fans to meet the bands. They would like come and knock on your bus and stuff, and it's like, get out of here.
Oh my gosh,
like,
Elliot, could you imagine?
That's what I'm saying. Is like it would be like if for like $1,000 ticket or something like that.
Ultra
you
VIP
just, like,
experience. You can walk around backstage. It'd be horrible.
Yeah. Oh, it was so stupid. I don't know why they did it.
Yeah, that sounds like that would be an outright disaster.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we kind of gotten a look in the past, fun stories, look ahead a little bit. In terms of, I guess, this is day one as people are listening to this right now. For people, what would you tell people, not necessarily people who are new or old, but like aiming at a takeaway from the weekend, something that they should probably try to cherish or focus on, or, you know, aside from maybe meeting people, what would you give advice to people to try to have as a takeaway for the weekend overall?
Oh, just enjoy the experience. Just enjoy being in the atmosphere of all those people that you share something in common with. I mean, it's funny. I had a friend of mine, well, not a friend of mine, another DJ that I knew in Chicago that came out once when we were doing C2E2, and he stood there next to me and was like, man, look at all these freaks walking around here in costumes. This is so stupid. I can't believe people do this stuff. And meanwhile, he's wearing a Cubs hat and a Cubs jersey. And I'm like, it's the same thing when you go to a Cubs game, man. You don't play for the Cubs.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a different fandom. Like, you know, you wearing a Cubs jersey is just as insane as someone walking around dressed as Kylo Ren. Like, you weigh 350 pounds, you're never going to play for the Cubs. Right. And that guy's never going to be Kylo Ren, but it doesn't mean that you can't celebrate the fandom and just enjoy what you're doing. So I would just tell people, just go celebrate the fandom, enjoy being around all of these people that like Star Wars more than the average person, and enjoy the sneak peeks at all the new stuff that we're going to get to see. So, you know, don't worry about trying to see everything. You're never going to be able to see everything. And if you miss out on big panels, the good news is it's all going to be streamed. You're going to be able to watch it again on Star Wars, the StarWars.com stage. In fact, if you don't know what to do, and the one stage that I would tell you to hang out with, if you want to see everybody and everything, hang out at the StarWars.com stage, because everything is going to go through that stage. Every person that's there is going to make an appearance there. Everyone's going to go to that stage. The other stages, hit or miss, but everybody is going to be on that stage. And that stage is just in the middle of the floor. You just walk up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's some good advice right there.
Yeah,
I mean, I would camp at that StarWars.com. If you're going to camp at a stage, like, camp at that one. That's the one, you know. It's funny because, you know, I read all the rumors and I'm on all the Star Wars Celebration pages, so I see what everybody's talking and complaining about. And it's always funny because everybody's like, do you think George Lucas is going to be there? No, I don't, man. He doesn't own Star Wars anymore. He doesn't want to have anything to do with Star Wars anymore. He's got his check. He's building his museum. Why do we want him there? Like, he's walked away. You know, let's thank the maker. There you go. And again, you know, everything's great. You know, there's all this, you know, there's all the material that they're going to pull from for his universe, which, you know, that was always the fun, you know, listening to people say, you know, when they killed the expanded universe and all that stuff, and there was all the, well, why would you do that? There's all these great stories. And you're like, well, you've got, you know, a couple hundred episodes of Clone Wars to pull from, and that's actually George's Star Wars. So why do you need the expanded universe? So, but
we actually learned recently that George hated Mara Jade. So
yeah,
well,
J.W. Whistler told us that.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought that he may show up. I know because he showed up at the 40-year anniversary, but because they're doing the Phantom Menace 20-year, I thought that would be a shot for him to show up. But, you know,
I mean, he's got a house in Chicago, so maybe. But you know, I don't know, man. It's the same thing. Like,
this year, it's George Lucas conducting a symphony orchestra.
There you go. There you
Perfect.
Go. No, I think you know, my guess would be, you know, on Friday we're gonna see the entire cast of the final movie, because it's the last chance for everybody to get together. Like, it's the final hurrah. So it would behoove Disney not to do that. And where Disney's smart is, Celebration is the kickoff of the press tour. Like, the whole reason for Celebration, you know, that went, you know, before Disney bought Lucasfilm, when we were at the last Celebration in Orlando, we thought that was it. Like, after Germany, we were like, this is probably the last Celebration. There's probably not going to be another one. And then they announced that, you know, we're going to make more Star Wars movies. And then it's like, well, now there's a reason for Celebration, because that's kind of how Celebration started. Is it was, hey, we're going to promote these new movies in a fun way and get people amped up and excited about, you know, Phantom Menace, and, you know, and there you go. And then off to the races. So.
All right. All right. So we have a few listener questions for you. Lacey, did you want to run through these?
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now he may have answered some of them, but
it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll just do it again.
Yeah.
This is for hashtag Ask DJ Elliot. Okay.
Wow, I have a hashtag.
Yes. So the first question comes from Todd. I'm going to slaughter this last name. Desgrosseilliers, who's one of our patrons.
Desgrosseilliers?
Sure,
Todd.
whatever. Todd.
What's up,
Todd
Todd?
asks, what was your first celebration like, and how did you prepare for it? So I guess you talked a little bit about your first celebration, but were you nervous? Like, how did you prepare for it?
So Celebration 5 was interesting because I knew about Star Wars, and Mark knew a little bit about Star Wars, but neither of us were like super ingrained in Star Wars, so much to the point that the very first panel, Mark picked somebody in the audience to do a bit. He picked a guy in the front row in a big black cowboy hat, which by me saying that, you guys already know who he
Dave
picked.
Filoni.
And Mark had no idea who this guy was. And he said, "Hey, what's your name?" He said, "I'm Dave." Where do you work? Where do you work, Dave? He's like, "I work at a ranch." And he's like, "Well, that would explain the cowboy hat." Like, it was this whole bit, and Mark had no idea who he was.
But it probably played off like he knew and he was just joking around, right?
It did play off that way, but it definitely was not that way.
Oh my
A
gosh.
ranch.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean that very first panel, that very first day, I was terrified because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to a celebration. I didn't even know what a celebration was, and they're like, "Hey, we want you to entertain this big group of people." And fortunately, everyone was super nice and stoked to be there, and we had a party. Right. It was great. So
That's how I feel. Never been to a celebration. Now I gotta make these videos for all of our listeners and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've never feel like I'm working.
You're gonna
celebration.
have a great time. Well, the problem is that
I know.
You know. So wait, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but we're gonna find out what's when we're doing it all again, closing ceremonies. That's how that always happens. So
Okay.
that should be exciting to hear when we get to do this again and see everybody again. So there are so many places we could go, so many things to see.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been to New York Comic Con twice. That's it. It's me and James' first celebration, and then Lacey is like the professional, and she reminds everybody that she's the ultimate.
I've never been to a convention before.
Yeah, right. Okay. So it's funny that
As a guest.
So as you may imagine, Lacey's like setting up our itinerary for us and stuff, and we're like, okay, we'll go there. You know, we'll do that. So we're excited.
She'll help
Very
you.
detailed.
She'll help you get around. So there you go, Todd. That was my first celebration, Celebration 5, and we were scared, and but it all went really, really well. So I remember though, I did music videos at that celebration, and I did a couple music video edits. I know one of the big songs out was Starships, and so I did a Starships mix with like all of these starships from sci-fi movies. So yeah, that's how I prepared.
Okay.
I made music videos.
Next is Evan Harris. Hey, Evan. He's also one of our patrons. He loves Kylo Ren, just like me. And he asks, what's your favorite moment at a past celebration? I mean, you've mentioned a lot. Is there anything else that you didn't mention that comes to mind? Or
Oh, I mean, my favorite moments have always been the fan parties, and that fan party that we did in Anaheim.
Oh,
even
it was
Lacey
so
will
good.
tell you. It was just
so
it was a
good.
perfect location, and it was just everybody just having a really, really great time. And it just, every song I played hit really well, and it was just a killer party. And it's always sad when, you know, before, during the meetings about celebration, they're always like, "Oh, we're gonna do a fan party," and then the event happens, and the last like two have fallen through. We actually haven't done one since Anaheim.
yeah,
so.
it was unreal looking down the plaza and just seeing all these lightsabers up in the air. But I'll never forget, I had a stack of like Star Wars Celebration stickers that I had to get rid of because they're dated. And I literally have never felt cooler than going like this with stickers off the stage. Like I was like really cool.
Lacey doesn't get to feel very cool that often. So.
I never do. Okay. Next is Aaron Quinton, who's one of our Patreon.
What's up, Aaron?
Patreon generals. Yeah, we salute to them. Aaron asks, what's the most rewarding... You know what? I'm going to start with a negative question first. Is that okay, Elliot? And then I'll end with the positive.
Is it how dare you?
Yeah.
It basically is. So, Elliot, I'm going to let you answer this question only because I want everybody today to take in this answer, take it in, listen to the answer, and move past this and never bring it up again. All right. So the question is... from Jordan Rennie, at Jordan Rennie, and she or he, I'm not sure if it's a she. He, sorry, Jordan.
All right, Jordan.
He asks, you woke me up 2 years ago. Why did you do that? Why?
So this is the question that I get the most. So the irony was earlier in that day, we had gotten a phone call from the folks at Reed that were like, "Hey, there's people lining up already," and we were like, "Well, they're not supposed to be. Like, there were rules. You know, everything said that they weren't going to do that. And like, well, we can't. It's already happened. Like, there's nothing we can do." And we were like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, there's the line already." Then a couple hours later, it got dark. Mark, Daniel, and I had just had dinner, and one of the guys from Reed called us, and he said, "Hey, so we've put everybody inside the convention center, and there's like 3,000 to 4,000 people in here, and there's nothing for them to do." And Mark and I are like, "Well, wow. Well, this is our Star Wars family." So, because we lived in Orlando, I think it was like 8:30 or 9 o'clock that we got the phone call. I think about 8:30. And so I said, well, hey, I've got speakers back at my house because I lived in Orlando. So I jumped in my car, drove all the way home, loaded speakers in the car, drove all the way back. And they're like, look, you have to get to the door. You have to get to the convention center before 10 because they're going to lock the doors. They're not going to let anybody come in or go out. So I'm racing, trying to get there before 10. We get everything loaded on the dolly. We roll it in. We set everything up. And we started playing music, and people came up.
To be clear, this was at 10 a.m., correct? Or 10 p.m., correct?
10 p.m., yeah. So Mark and
not the rumored, like, it started a rumor that was like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It was 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
guys.
so we got at 10 o'clock, we rolled the speakers in, we were set up, we hit the first downbeat at like 10:30, and everybody got up and was dancing and having a good time, and you know, we were just like, cool. Well, Mark and I knew we needed to get to bed because we had just done Star Wars Marathon the week before, so we were exhausted. And we weren't getting paid to do any of this, so we were just trying to be helpful. And so I played for an hour and 8 minutes because I recorded the mix. I actually have it and can go back and listen to it. And they had told us that... they had told Mark that everybody that was in that room was going to be getting into the panel room. So Mark said that on the microphone, and that really upset some people too. But, you know, we were just, you know, repeating the information that we had been given. And as I was playing the last song, somebody came up, and it was the first time all night anybody had come up and said anything negative. And it was just like, hey, are you going to turn this music off? Because we're trying to sleep. And by now it was like... It's like 11:30 because I got back to my hotel room at midnight. So we, you know, broke everything down and stopped. And I remember as we were leaving, there was a group of guys that were like lightsaber fighting. And I was just like, this is crazy. So, and then sure enough, the next morning, everybody was just like, oh, I can't believe you woke us up. And I can't believe that you did that. And Mark and I were really hurt because number one, like we really just responded to a situation
what was asked of you.
Yeah, it really was a no-win situation, and we just thought to ourselves, man, there's 3,000 people stuck in this room with nothing to do. We got to do something for them, you know. And so instead of us going to bed and getting a good night's sleep, I ran halfway across town to grab equipment to bust my ass to get back up there. So it was really kind of like that backwards compliment when people thought they were being funny, being like, oh, you gonna wake us up again? And I still hear it, and it still breaks my heart because there was just all this time and effort put into something that was genuinely just us trying to solve a bad situation. Like, and it's nice now to see that like those overnight sleepovers aren't going to happen anymore, because Celebration in Orlando, those first 2 days, everyone was just miserable because everybody had tried to sleep on a concrete floor. Like it wasn't fun. Like I've heard people say it was fun and we got to meet people. It wasn't fun.
I got screamed at in 2015. Someone literally got in my face and screamed at me for a good minute and a half.
Yeah.
And said I was a terrible person, that I was ruining their life.
Yeah.
And it was because I was like, hey, if you're not getting in line, you can't be in this room.
Yeah.
Like people, lack of sleep and hungry people are aggressive. But okay, so Jordan, you got your answer.
Yeah, so I will not be waking you up because
he will not be waking you up.
I don't know where your hotel room is. I will be sleeping in mine, and unfortunately, if someone was ever to come and ask me again in a situation like that to do something like say it was a recovery or hey, we need you to do that, Mark and I have both made the decision we would never do that again. We'll just let it be quiet. So
I mean, we'll find out where Jordan's room is, and we'll put the subwoofers right up to his wall. And
it's fine. I'm sure he was joking around. Jordan, we're just joking around with you. Definitely. But for everybody else that's just being mean, stop. All right, so that's why I did that question first. So then our last question will be a fun question, which is from Aaron. So hi, Aaron. And he says, Aaron, what's the most rewarding aspect of doing Star Wars Celebration?
I'm gonna switch it to what's the most rewarding thing for me about Star Wars. So Star Wars absolutely changed my life. Me getting involved with Star Wars, what was great is I already worked at Disney. So as soon as Disney bought Lucasfilm, it was like, oh, well, hey, this is Elliot. He's been the Star Wars DJ for years, so we're just going to utilize him again. And because of Star Wars, I got to work with my wife, and I met my wife. We worked together. That's awesome. Was the stage manager for my show when I was DJ Red Leader for Star Wars Weekends. And I mean, had it not been for Star Wars, I wouldn't be married, man. Like legit. Like that's the glue that holds our relationship together. I mean, I think I was quoted.
Do you know what's crazy?
I was quoted at one celebration in the New York Times as saying, I don't think George Lucas ever had in mind that, this was going to bring people together the way that it did. Mm-hmm. So there are lots of people that have met their significant others through Star Wars. So, I mean, that's Star Wars to me. I enjoy the films. But the people that I've met through Star Wars are some of my best friends are Star Wars people, between Star Wars cruises and Star Wars and the theme parks. And I mean,
so obviously I met Elliot, but another really fun story is Elliot's made friends with people through Star Wars, who's then introduced me to Star Wars, these people. So a funny story is when I was working in 2015, I had to oversee the VIP line, which now the tables have turned.
And you're in the VIP line.
So
it's amazing what you can do when you have money.
Yeah, and
a
just
fast
like
internet
a good
connection.
Spirit. So these two guys who I'm really close friends with were in the line all weekend long. I got to know them a little bit. Monday morning we went to Disneyland after Anaheim, which obviously Elliot and I love Disney. So Elliot's like, yeah, come have breakfast with us. We're meeting these guys that also are fans of Star Wars. And I remember turning to my friend being like, ugh, I can't believe I have to go with these random people. If they're weird, we're ditching them. So then we go to the park and meet up with Elliot and these two guys. They're Jack and Eric. Hi, Jack and Eric, if you're listening. And it was hands down one of the best days of my life. I had so much fun, and Elliot had to leave, sadly, to go on some trip.
We flew home, so yeah.
And we ended up hanging out for the rest of the day, and I'm still friends with them, and they're coming to Celebration, and I can't wait to see them. But we saw episode 9 together. We've seen...
Wait, you saw episode 9?
What? Sorry, 8. Sorry, 8. I'm sorry, 8.
Oh, but you're going to see 9 with them. I already know that.
I got 9 on the brain. 8. And then I saw, I think I saw Rogue One with them. It's like lifelong friendships. Mm-hmm. And I know James and John are included in that. Same thing as Elliot. It has changed my life. I would have not met the people that I've met. I would have not had the relationships and the community and the fun that I've had without it in my life. So I totally agree with you, Elliot.
Yeah, man, it's just a movie. Like, yeah, it feels sacrilege to say that, but I mean, it's it's a kids movie at the heart of it.
Right.
And even George has said that, like, I made these movies for kids. And I mean, again, I walked into the Imperial March for, our wedding. Like, the pastor quoted Star Wars when we exchanged our vows. Like, it's so crazy to think that this kids movie from the 70s is bringing, 30,000 people a day to Chicago.
Yeah.
And we're amped up to see like a 1.5-minute trailer. And to just find out the name. Like we're losing our minds online with these lotteries and all this stuff. Like we're not going to turn around and watch it on our phone like as soon as it's available. So
right.
it's funny to, I just want everybody to come and just have a good time, take it in, talk to people, like not in the bathroom because that's weird. Like, leave the urinal space between you and the person next to you, and just like, but anywhere else, feel free to just talk to everybody because you never know, man. Yeah, you're gonna make lifelong friends. I mean, yeah,
just in the bathroom, like sweet Dianoga costume, bro. Like, I'm good, man.
That's not a costume.
That's not a costume. That's me.
Come on, guys. Family friendly.
No, I mean, that's great. I mean, we're up against time, but I just want to say thanks for joining us. I know you got a huge monster week starting right now, so it was really nice meeting you, and I hope to get to actually meet you out on the show floor at some point. That'd be cool.
Well, definitely, if you come up and say hello, like Mark, Daniel, and I, we got swag to give away. Like, we love talking to people.
Elliot pin trades.
I can share, links to music. We'll post all the stuff that we can post, but talk to us. Like, we want to talk to you. Like, we're fans just like you. We like to be that accessible person that you guys can talk to because we're just like you. We just happen to have figured out a way to get Lucasfilm to pay us to be there, which only took about 10 years. So just remember, if you keep telling people you're the Star Wars DJ, eventually somebody will say it back. So that's the trick.
That's a good idea. So I'll have to be like, I'm the Star Wars MC DJ. Or I'll microwave your burrito guy. I don't know. I'll think of something. All right. So do you have anything you want to, for our listeners, like where they can find your stuff, like a website or social or anything like that you want to plug?
Dude, DJElliot.com is the easiest. It's 2 L's, 1 T, DJ. ELLIOT.
Elliot.
Exactly. And pretty much if you go there, there's links to everything. There's, I'm not very good at social media, but Lacey here is going to help me with that, and because
Nice.
Because I'm 40, so I'm still trying
Wait,
to figure
before
all
you
that
go,
stuff up.
What is your go-to joke when you're on the stage?
Ooh.
What do you mean?
Like your warm-up joke. What's your go-to?
What my go-to?
I know you have a joke that you always say, and I want you to say it now so when people hear it this weekend, they're going to say,
No,
I heard that.
I want to save it for the moment when I need
use
it.
as material.
I know the one. I have one joke.
Yeah.
I'm saving it.
JJ has a mystery box, and so does DJ
Exactly.
Elliot. You
So
gotta make something.
I know what's
give
in
him
that
a reason
box.
to go.
Don't give away my secrets, Lazy.
All right. Well, thanks again, Elliot. It was cool meeting you. I look forward to meeting you in person again. And thanks for literally bringing the noise to all the fans out there during Star Wars Celebration weekend, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We will see you on the show floor.
We'll see you there.
All right. Bye, man. Well, there you have it, folks. If you want to call that your kickoff to Star Wars Celebration, what a better guest. I couldn't find one. I'll tell you right now. He's the guy. DJ Elliot, so cool. I hope you enjoyed his stories. If you're on your way, as James alluded to earlier, to the convention, or you're still heading to Chicago and this is your warm-up, what a way to appetize yourself for Star Wars Celebration. Such a great guest. So thank you, DJ Elliot. And we look forward to seeing what you're doing for everybody this weekend. Guys, this is the first day of celebration, but do not forget that on Saturday, that's right, 2 days from today, you're going to be able to see us live at the McCormick Center West, the first level, the first floor of Star Wars Celebration in 193 A and B on the podcast stage at 6 o'clock this Saturday, 2 days from now. April 13th, we are doing our podcast, so we hope to see you. There's not too much clashing, so if you're not nothing planned, even if you weren't even thinking about going to a podcast, come check us out. We have swag, right, Lacey?
We do.
Okay, so what do we got? We have sunglasses. We
Yes.
got stickers. We got pins. We got... James probably has the sunglasses. That's all right, though.
I don't.
Oh, Gary the Porg sticker, too. We have a lot of other stuff. And then there's a special giveaway coming down the pike, and also more giveaways at the end of the podcast. There are going to be exclusive items from the Resistance broadcast that you can only get if you attend our panel. But most importantly, it's going to be a hell of an hour. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun as we always do it. We're going to bring it as we always do. We're going to do a group photo right after the panel. And then we're going to be heading to the Hyatt after for the hangout, and then a bunch of other bloggers, podcasts, and groups are going to be there with their listeners hanging out. So please join us after our panel. But remember, again, mark your calendars right now because you're on your way to Celebration. I know you are. 2 days from now, Saturday, 6 o'clock, podcast stage. It's room 193 A and B. You'll see us there. We really hope to see you. Tell your friends, drag your friend. If you got 5 of your friends, just say, come on, let's go check these guys out. We promise you won't regret it. So thank you. If you
John,
are...
I actually do have the sunglasses here.
Oh.
I forgot. I actually...
No. No.
If you believe that those are the sunglasses and you still come Saturday, then you are a diehard Resistance broadcast fan. I'll tell you that right now, guys. Yeah, so guys, as always, the usual stuff here. Make sure you're subscribed to us, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Thanks for everybody who's been increasing our views on our YouTube channel. We really do enjoy this format as well. But of course, we're always going to be there for you 2 times a week on our normal formats. And thank you to our patrons. I got to run through our big, gigantic list of our generals now. Let's see. We have Adam Odell. We have Carmelo. We have Aaron. Brian. Brian Shalito. Val Trichkoff. And... Don Boring. So it's getting to the point now where, and that was all the top of my head, folks. I got it all right there. 6 of you, half a dozen. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our patrons. Again, I repeat this like a broken record. Every week we have new people signing up from tier 1 to tier 5.
Yeah.
It means so much to us. And I really hope you guys are enjoying the content that we're putting out there. Lacey works so hard on the site. James does a lot of pretty much all of our video editing, except the rumor review, which Lacey makes me look good on. And just, we really are focused on trying to make this a very active Patreon page for all of you guys to make it worth it. And thank you so much for all your support in general. So we hope to see some of you also this weekend at Celebration. Guys, you can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. And make sure you always do head to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. And especially this weekend, the folks from Star Wars Newsnet, not only are some of them going to be with us, they're going to be back on the site covering everything for you. So make sure you go to Star Wars Newsnet every morning of Celebration to get all of your news right there. And they're going to be even importing some of our video coverage as well. James, where can people find you, man?
You can find me at Myra Trunks, MIRAHTRUNKS. Still, yeah.
Yes.
John and Lacey are working on the background. We need to get James a new screen name. I don't know how it's going to go.
Real James Baney is available.
Real James Baney. Maybe. Because James Baney isn't, so I have to be real James Baney.
Yeah. Yep. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I'll be giving you live updates all weekend long. We'll also probably be live tweeting from at Star Wars Newsnet.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited to meet all the Kylos.
Yes. We're going to be asking a lot of people a lot of questions about Kylo Ren on the floor randomly. So if you answer, you'll get a sticker maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
So guys, I do want to say this again. We've been pressing the Patreon and all that stuff, but our YouTube channel this weekend, we are going to be doing reactions, coverage, a lot of crazy videos and stuff right free on our YouTube channel. So look up the Star Wars Newsnet YouTube channel with the Resistance broadcast. Subscribe to us, get your alerts. You'll get all. So if you're not going to Celebration, you're going to get all of our reactions, all of our coverage. Hit the bell, and you'll be right in. We'll drag you into the experience with us as much as we possibly can. So come along for the ride and sign up on our YouTube channel, guys. That is pretty much bringing us to the end of this show. But what that means is it's time to celebrate. So the next time we'll see you guys is when we're back from Celebration with an episode. I don't know if our first one's going to be our podcast panel version or not, but either way, keep celebrating whether you're going to Celebration or not. Keep loving Star Wars, and as always, we'll see you around, kids.
Bye. Thanks, Elliot. Elliot.